Me moving the camera. I won't move it again.
Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm your host, Roy Canny, and with me, as always, is Rob.
Oh, hello. Hello?
Hello. How's it going?
Going good. How are you doing, sir?
Awesome. So
I'm doing the podcast from a mattress.
Yeah, from a mattress in a different state.
Yeah, I'm just laying down in my room, just thinking about you.
That's creepy. Aren't you thinking about all of our viewers? Just like I couldn't.
I never not think about them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, today's episode we have lots of questions from our viewers, and hopefully we can give some answers to those questions.
I love it.
So hopefully it should be a good time.
Be a great.
Yeah.
You just gotta tell me what chat's doing. But you're here. I'm here.
So far, Ian has said, "Hey guys," and that's where we're at as far as chat goes. Now make sure it's not on.
Those guys are animals.
Yeah, man. Hype. Cool. But before we get,
I will say though, disappointed. I didn't see any people hugging Isaac at Origins and tagging me in pictures or anything like that. If it happened, I just missed out on it. But I thought I'd get at least one or two sympathy pics.
Yeah, I wonder how many people heard that like on the way home and are like, "Oh man, I missed my opportunity."
Yeah.
Hype. Sweet. Oh,
well,
Darth said he asked Isaac. We'll have to get a story about that. Hi all, Q&A. I asked Isaac. I don't know what that means. But yeah, well, before we get into all of our questions and answers, we have a ton of them, by the way. I guess we can get into a little bit of news. I don't know if you saw this, but you know Android Netrunner?
Yeah,
the LCG? Yeah, they're finishing it, or it's going to be done, because they had it licensed with Wizards of the Coast, and for some reason they couldn't come to agreement on the terms of the licensing, so all the mechanics were made by Richard Garfield, and so they own the mechanics, but the world and stuff was from Fantasy Flight. So I guess it's going to be ending, and that was like one of their most popular LCGs, you know. I mean, it probably was the biggest one.
There are international tournaments for that game.
Yeah, and you never actually played it, Rob, have you?
No, because you warned me not to.
Well, it is an extremely good game, but it is also a very like game where the more you know, the better you can be. And the fact that they made more and more for the game, it's like if you fell behind, you're just kind of like in trouble. But like if we had the starter set and just played starter set versus starter set, it would be a blast. And the mechanics in that are so much different from every other like game. It's really sad to see it stop being made, because it was like solid. I mean, I fell off because I couldn't keep up with it, but I still would love to see it stay around. But I know a lot of people are going to be sad about that.
Terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's making me wonder, like, are you worried about Fantasy Flight with all these licensing things and them not continue to do stuff, like with the Warhammer thing and now with this?
Not the games that I love that they do, because, like, no other company has a licensing for Mansions of Madness.
Right. I mean, it's Lovecraft, so Lovecraft IP. Yeah. I mean, they've made it into their own license, which is Arkham Files or whatever, but Lovecraft is public domain, so everybody does those games.
Like smaller companies that are owned by them, they own those licenses. Like it wasn't like somebody else. Like my Ashes and stuff that I love, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. But yeah, and I'm sure they're not going to let go of Star Wars ever. They're probably like, oh man, we had to spend so much money on Star Wars to keep that.
Somebody else for Star Wars more money, and can prove that they can do a good job. But I mean, Fantasy Flight's got a great relationship with Star Wars, because one of those ships that Fantasy Flight made, I think it was a Raider ship, for the Imperials. It ended up in the newest Star Wars video game.
That's
Like
awesome.
that was a toy that Fantasy Flight made that Star Wars loved so much they put in their universe as well.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Darth said about the whole Isaac thing is that when the Dice Tower was doing Q&As, so they interviewed Isaac, I guess probably about his new game, and they have a Q&A afterwards where the chat can ask questions, and he said that he asked if he had gotten any Epic Gaming Night hugs or something like that. I'll have to go back and see if I can find the stream of that and see if he actually responded to it or not. But
Probably didn't respond, but I still love Isaac. It's hilarious, and I get it. I mean, you're the host of the show, and you do a lot of the stuff, the media stuff, so I understand. It just bothers me a little bit because I'm definitely, well, I don't want to say definitely, but I think I'm the cute one of the three of us.
I won't deny it.
So,
it's fine.
but you got the hair.
You can be the face.
I mean, I definitely have a face for radio.
Nice.
Bro, I just got an email, speaking of big companies, from Simon that the rest of my zombie side stuff should be here tomorrow.
Oh, all the Black Plague stuff?
Yes,
Dude.
all the extras. So I have like the core box that came in, but all the Stranger Things.
Take a picture of the Stranger Things stuff and I'll post it on Instagram.
Oh, yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that. And that's kind of sort of ahead of schedule. And I think I'm also going to be getting a Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to turn the video on so you can see this, Rob.
Okay.
But Ian got a hug for you. I don't know if I can bring it up. Can you see?
Sweet, man.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome. Thank you, Ian.
He was saying in chat like, check the Twitter. I just sent you a thing. I was like, okay, that's awesome. And he had the Starships and Samurai right there with him. I really want to play that.
I want to play that really bad.
Yeah, for sure.
But Cool Mini, they're on their stuff for getting stuff out now.
Yeah. So, another thing, speaking of Cool Mini or Not, is that July 10th is when they are launching their new Lovecraft game. Was it Cthulhu May Die or something like that?
Yeah, my wife was literally just making fun of me not even an hour ago about all the money I spent last year on Kickstarter. Because I was telling my dad about the Joan of Arc game. I was showing him all the plastic minis. Yeah. And she was like, that costs so much money. I said, but babe, I'm getting like 1,000 minis. She was like, it costs so much money. And so, yeah, this Cthulhu May Die. I'm going to back it probably like instantaneously.
Yeah, I'm excited to see because like I
love Eric.
Yeah.
And I really love Simon. And to have their take.
Yeah. And it's cooperative, so that like has me excited. I just, in general, I love cooperative games. I'm afraid it's going to be super brutal, but it'll be interesting to see. Because Eric Lang cooperative games, I think the only one I've played is the XCOM game, but his cooperative games are not easy.
No.
So, and he was talking about how hard this game's going to be, but I'm excited to see. The miniatures and stuff are going to be ridiculous. Awesome. Anyway. Well, have you gotten a chance to play any games, man?
Actually, just got done playing Rhino Hero Super Battle.
Oh, nice.
Super cute, a lot of fun. My daughter. It was the first time I played with my daughter. And we had a blast. And so that was really cute. And, of course, we played Wits and Wagers, but I bought them Wits and Wagers like last year. Mm-hmm. And so we played the standard version.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is cute. Like the little rollout mat, but it's like the little one where I have like my big Vegas mat with all the stuff. And so I don't know, it was cute, but it felt a little weird playing normal Wits and Wagers and not the Vegas standard like decked out one and now with the poker chips. But for those listening, I'm going to bring my Vegas one to Dice Tower Con, and I say when we all get together that we definitely play.
Nice. Yeah, there's a ton of people we could play it with, I'm sure, too.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, so we played card games, and then we played Rhino Hero Super Battle.
I've had a lot of people asking me about Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea at Dice Tower Con. Like, there was a guy on the Dice Tower Con Facebook group asking if anybody was bringing Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, and I had people tagging me in that conversation, being like, Roy's got the game. I'm sure he's bringing it. And I'm like, yeah.
Don't you have the map too?
Yeah, I'm going to bring it all. I got to bring every. I was like, I am bringing every bit of that game that I own and hoping to play it. I'm hoping to actually get a couple games in.
I won't then since you're bringing that, but I'll probably bring.
I had texted Emerson about it. He hadn't got back to me yet, but I was like, hey, Emerson, want to play Here's a Lantern and see? Like, if we could
real quick
to a game with Emerson, that'd be great.
But if you get to play with Emerson, I want in on that game.
I know. That's what I was thinking. I was like, we need Rob and Emerson and try to get Matt to retry. Come on, Matt.
And then get 2 more people because we can play up to 6.
I'm pretty sure I raise my hand and say, hey, 2 more people. There's a bunch of people in the contributors for the Dice Tower that really want to play it too. So we'll see how many times I end up playing it over the week. Yeah, because a bunch of people want to play.
Well, the good thing is it's not a very long 4X game.
Yeah. If you're gonna play a 4X game, that's one of the ones to get to the table.
Yeah.
I was trying to get with Gamelin and be like, hey guys, what about that floating island? I'm gonna be at Dice Tower Con. I can show that thing off. But so that's still up in the air a little bit.
They love you, bro. It's probably on the way.
Nah, man. But anyway, hey, as far as what I've been playing, I played this kids game, from Taiwan. You know the guy who had the other games that we played, Shepherd Kit?
Yeah, the 3 games.
Yeah. They now have a game that they are coming out with. I think it's already out in Taiwan, but it's Paleolithic. It's about like the Stone Age era in Taiwan. So it's like a map of Taiwan, but it is a worker placement game. So it's like a kid's version of a worker placement game. So it's kind of interesting. And you're going around trying to collect resources. Like you start with like a bunch of little villagers in like a little area, and then they can move out and try to collect resources. And you roll a die to see which resources you get. There's like food and like clay and like pottery and like jade and different things like that. Just weird, like, I guess Stone Agey or like coming into the whatever Iron Age type stuff. But in Taiwan, and then there's all these different resources and there's different like factions, and I guess there's like in the book it's got a little bit of like the history type stuff of that stuff, because all of their games are very like, here's the game, but here's why it's educational, like whether it's math or whether it's different things. But it's like a kid's version of a worker placement game, and you're just collecting the stuff and then spinning it to build villages, which help you collect more easier, or using it to create artifacts. So you create different artifacts and you get points based off of that. And once people have created so many villages or so many artifacts, the game ends, and whoever has the most points wins. And there's like each village is worth 3 points, and each artifact is worth different points. And if you collect a type of artifacts that match your tribe or whatever, then you get extra points. It's actually very simple. Like Scotty had it like down, like he understood what was going on, and he actually won the game we were playing because he got lucky and built a village on the like Jade area, and like that's what his faction needed. So he ended up beating me, and he rolled better on the dice than me, so that was kind of interesting.
The monster.
Exactly. But it's kind of cool because it has expansions. It's like super simple. Like I explained the entire game just now. Like you just roll dice and collect resources and then turn them in to get artifacts. But it's cool for kids. But they have expansions, which there's these little animals that you have. There's an expansion that gives your animals special abilities and adds extra players. There's an expansion that just adds like a shipping route and then adds where each of your villages have different powers. So you can add these expansions in to make the game more advanced and kind of like make it grow like with your kid a little bit. And I think we'll probably try with the special powers for the animals. Like I think each time we play the game, we're going to add one in and see where the point of him being like, oh, this is too much is. And see if we need to scale it back if we add everything in. But it seems like a good like gateway for kids into like that. Like you could like teach them how to play this, and then like after a while, after playing it a few times, be like, all right, you've seen that worker placement game. Time to go to Champions of Midgard. What's going on?
Boom.
Because it also has like the dice rolling and stuff like that, so it has like some parallels to those sort of games. So I feel like it's a way to get your kids on board with some of the worker placement Euro-y type stuff, but then move them up into other worker placement style games. So it's really cool, and it's cool that they are doing that. So,
well, sweet, man.
Hey, Rob, your video went out. Does that mean it's time for the picture?
Do that. I'm actually trying to make it where I can be in chat.
Oh.
I'm trying to get on chat at the same time.
Nice.
Somebody in chat type something. Let's see if this goes through. But I paused the video because I don't want the video going on in the background.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
Going on.
Hey, riveting stuff. I also got to play more of our Signs of Carcosa campaign. Me and Trevor played 2 more of the scenarios. And it's cool. Like, we're upgrading our decks and going through the weird story. This one feels very different than the other campaign, which is really cool. And this one of the new features that it introduces at the very beginning is that there's treachery cards that can go, or terror cards or something like that. It's somewhere that starts with a T. And when you draw them, now when you draw from the deck, you don't just flip it over for the player. When you draw them, you look at it and read it yourself. And some of these cards can go into your hand. And it's basically like kind of like going insane a little bit in Mansions of Madness. So you have these cards in your hand, and they'll specifically make you not be able to do things or have to do certain things. And the other player doesn't know. So I'm actually really happy that I played this 2 players because it makes it kind of interesting because you're also not allowed to talk about the cards that you have. You're not allowed to tell your opponent or your teammate what it is. So like I'll draw a thing. If Trevor's like, hey, you should do this. And I'd be like, I can't. He'd be like, well you should really do this. No, man, I'm not going to do that. So it makes it kind of interesting. Like, why aren't you doing that? I haven't seen any yet that would like turn you into like a complete bad guy against the other players. But it is very interesting that there's cards that you get in your hand that make you not be able to do certain things that make you seem weird to the other players of the game.
Sweet.
Sorry, whatever, Darth. Darth said that treachery cards are known as Roy cards. Come on.
No, that makes sense. I mean, that's what I would call them.
Awesome. Well, we have a ton of Q&A.
Let's do this.
I guess we can go ahead and start doing this. I didn't like skim through them. If there's any that seem weird, I'll read them right before I'll read them right before I read them live. But I didn't like read them really in depth, so these are going to be new to me as well, Rob.
Okay.
So the first one is gaming after graduation. What's been your favorite and least favorite thing about Dungeons and Dragons versus a board game?
What's been my favorite and what's been my least favorite?
For me, I mean, I love storytelling and like the ability to like kind of like do whatever in a game. And for me, Dungeons and Dragons is awesome for that. And like it's amazing where I haven't seen there's a lot of board games that kind of emulate like the role-playing game Dungeons and Dragons' theme. But like even when you play Descent and stuff, it's very like you're boxed into doing this specific thing. Where when you play Dungeons and Dragons, it's so open. Like you can just do whatever and it's awesome. It's like, okay, we come to this thing and there's a wall there and there's a doorway. Do you go through the door? Do you climb the wall? Do you like hack your way through the wall? Do you try to find loose rocks and like pull one of those out? And I don't know. You can just literally do anything. And the fact that the DM is supposed to make up what happens on the fly just leaves it so much more open and you can just really do whatever. A negative on the side of that, the fact that it's like a huge campaign, you always have to get the same group of people back together, and it's so hard to get those people back together, you know? Sometimes, and it's like, man, and if you miss a game, then it's like, oh man, we've got to get this happening, because if we miss another game, like it feels like everything's falling apart and everybody's forgetting what's happening in the story, and it's a lot to work on and keeping together. It's like when you have a band. It's like you just got to keep the band together, man.
Yeah.
What do you think, man? Because I mean, you haven't played a whole lot of D&D. I played a ton, but you're sort of new to the whole D&D thing overall.
So for me, it's one of those things where like one of the things that I love is the creativity, like you said, like that we can do whatever we like, right?
Yeah.
But the only thing that's like been an issue for me so far is because I am so used to board games seeing the presentation in front of me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's really been it. But no, I've enjoyed playing with the group, and I like that we now jump down a hole and we have no idea where we're going and stuff like that. Like, I like all that kind of stuff, and I'm happy with where we're at and what's happening. I mean, because more or less we are progressing along with the campaign. It's just I don't know. Like, I'm a very visual person. And I have a cool imagination too, but it'd be kind of cool to like see this played out.
Yeah, when I used to play 4th edition all the time, I know people are like, don't freak out when I say 4th edition. 4th edition is more of like a mixture of a board game or a tactical miniatures game with Dungeons and Dragons. So some people were not a big fan of it because it added a huge like tactical combat aspect into the game. So, like, when you play, you start initiative, and you're there on the map, and there's a grid, and you're running around the grid, trying to figure out how to get the best advantage on your opponent and fight things. The people that very much want to be able to do whatever didn't really like it as much, and there was all these, like, interesting powers that made it feel more like an online MMO game, where it's like, I have these powers, and they recharge every single encounter, and these are daily ones, and these are encounter ones, and these I can do all the time. And it made things interesting. But I played 4th edition for years, and I really enjoyed it. But the game really became about, like, that combat. Like, you basically, when you had encounters, you went into, like, now we're in HeroClix battle mode. Let's play on a grid and run around and do that stuff. Where some people like to be able to be a little bit more free in that,
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm liking it. It's just, the comparison to board games, that's just the one thing is board games, you get the visual aspect. But
and even with 5th edition, you can do a lot more of that visual stuff if you're playing in person. The fact that we're playing over Skype makes the visual stuff not there, but if you're playing in person, the DM, if you have a good DM, they can set the stuff up. Like, I've had, like, maps and things set up, like, with 3D terrain and all sorts of crazy stuff. Like, if everybody was here every week, it would be like, okay, we're playing the game on top of the table, and then I open up the table and there's this crazy dungeon underneath or some crazy situation. It's like, okay, now you have your miniatures and you're running through that, which will give you more of that tactile feel that you're missing. What do you think, man?
I love it.
You're like, we should play D&D in person.
I'd do it.
Dude, I wish I had the time to make things happen. So much time. I think because I posted a picture with this, because we're giving away dice to one of the people. I think because I posted a picture with the dice on a role-playing game book that everybody's asking RPG questions, or at least some of them are. But Tabletop Craig says, what board game setting would you like to see given the RPG treatment?
What board game setting would we like to see given the RPG treatment? I think it'd be cool to do like a Mansions of Madness because of all the puzzles and everything else like that, and because of all the treachery and stuff. I think that'd be really cool to like play that out, because I think you could really try to scare some people and really get kind of deep with it. But I imagine there's already RPGs for that. I'm just brand new to that, so I don't know. It'd have to be a game like that, or like a game like Seventh Continent, or something like that, where it's not so combat based, where it's more the mind type of a thing for me. The whole Arkham Horror, which is like the first game in the Arkham Files series, is based off of Call of Cthulhu role playing, which is like literally. It is Mansions of Madness. It is Arkham Horror, but in a role-playing setting. It wasn't made by Fantasy Flight. It was out like when they started. Yeah. And there's tons of content for the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game, and that's what a lot of these Fantasy Flight Lovecraft games are based off of. So it's really kind of interesting. I've never played, but it's supposed to have more of that puzzly madness, Cthulhu, Elder Gods feel thing. So it'd be super interesting to play. I'd love to play that with someone who is super experienced with the setting. And have them play through. I know it'll probably happen, but I'd love to see. I'd love to play like a Cyberpunk game in the Android universe with all the like Netrunner characters.
It's coming. Like, they have their Genesis thing, and I'm sure that game is coming out. It's probably already announced, and chat's gonna yell at me. But yeah, that would be awesome. And of course, they already have their Tyranoth thing that's coming out or whatever. But that's just D&D. I'd rather play D&D. I would play a role-playing game in the Twilight Imperium universe. That would be weird. Like with all the alien races.
That'd be weird, but that'd be kind of cool though. Doing like all like the Senate and all the you know, all negotiating and everything like that.
Political intrigue you have to do with all the different races. It would be interesting to see how you would actually form a game in that.
And more or less be like Mass Effect, the RPG or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Next question.
Dice and Capes. If you could pick a game and reskin it with any IP to another IP, what would it be? I already know Rob's answer for this.
Yep.
It's just Queen's Gambit in the Matrix.
I want it done, and I would change some things about it, right? But I really want a Matrix video game, and if you're gonna do like all 3 movies, I think that'd be the game to do it in. That'd be a lot of fun.
Dude, I'd love to play a game like Mansions of Madness, but with puzzles and like fighting things and like actual like deep story, that you're going through with like app based. But I'd love it to be, I would love it to be reskinned with like Marvel Universe stuff where you're like superheroes doing that stuff. But it's very story based because there's like superhero games that aren't as story based.
So almost like a Batman game, maybe, because like he has to solve a lot of stuff. It's not just like fight for him. I mean, it is, but like, you know,
I'm hoping that game has a little bit of like interesting story puzzles in it. That would be really cool. But the way that the Mansions of Madness app unfolds the story as you play the game.
Oh, it's genius.
That's the thing and even the first edition did it because it had these timed cards that would slowly come out. And there would be objectives in one place and then another place that you'd have to go to. But it also give you like vague descriptions like you hear a noise coming from the hall, the third door on the left. And like you're like, well, I guess the next card we need is down the hall, the third door on the left. But you could explore a completely different direction, you know.
Oh, bro, in chat they said Spectre Ops or Dead of Winter.
Yeah,
those would be really cool. Man, both of those games, Spectre Ops and Dead of Winter. Dude, Spectre Ops would be a fun RPG.
If they made a what is it called? If they made like a Raxon like storybook, like you know how Fantasy Flight has all those core books with like all their story in it now that they're coming out with. They have one for the Arkham Files. They have one for Tyranoth. They have one for Android. Dude, if they had a Raxon one of those that was basically Dead of Winter and Spectre Ops, like that would be legit, you know? Because that story would be crazy.
Sorry, my daughter just walked in the room and it's just scared me very much. All right, baby. Good night, baby.
Cool.
Right. Ooh, that's not cool. I almost hit my daughter in the face because
I'm glad that on our scavenger hunt I was like we should do a Scare Rob scavenger hunt thing.
No, you didn't.
No, we wouldn't do that because somebody get hit. We'd be liable for some sort of damage to people.
I would. Yeah, we'd have to get a high insurance policy just to cover me. Which I'm excited though for the scavenger hunt. We got like 20 different things.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that
next week. Yeah.
Okay, next
when
week. When
Matt's back.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Cool. So Jesus Swag asks, will you be at any West Coast friendly conventions in the future?
Sure, in the future.
Dude, I would love to go to the West Coast.
Yeah.
I would just
the future is so long, and so there's plenty of opportunities. But for me, it's not because I don't want to.
What con would we go to out in the West? I mean, I know there's some stuff, but...
Well, I know Abby and them do a bunch of cons and stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry. Ambi. And I know PAX Unplugged or PAX is in Seattle. But that's not just board games.
Yeah, PAX would be great.
Yeah, there's so much stuff.
But it's kind of interesting because like when you think of like board game conventions, you think of like there's Gamma, But that's like an industry thing, you know. There's not like normal people going to that. That's like stores and publishers.
Yeah.
And that's in Vegas, or they moved it to Reno or something like that. But Origins and Gen Con and PAX Unplugged and Board Game Geek Con is in Texas. I guess it doesn't count as West.
No, not at all. It's mid America.
Let me look at a map real quick. No, I'm just kidding. Cool. But yeah, we would love to go to more West Coast friendly conventions.
For me, it's just
time and money.
Yeah.
We also have young families, so maybe someday.
Well, no, it's also for like driving. Like if I have a work emergency, like as much as it would suck, but I can drive back real quick.
Yeah.
And try to take care of like putting out any fires or something like that.
If you're on the other side of the country.
I really can't.
Yeah.
Or I mean I can, but it's not as easy and it's a lot more expensive.
Cool. Well, I think we've kind of answered this one a little bit before, but SternSim says, if you could play one game with anyone throughout history, who would it be and what game would you pick?
Okay. Throughout history, not just fictional character, because you guys did that with Mark Street.
Oh, yeah.
Fictional character.
I don't think I've said this before. I don't think I've done this.
If I could
think
play...
other people did. But not me.
One game throughout history. I don't know. Like, I think it'd be kind of fun. It would be fun to play some type of like large strategy game. I don't know, with like a Ragnar Lothbrok or like a Napoleon or an Alexander the Great or somebody like that. Like I would like to see their strategy, their mindset. I would not want to play like a worker placement or something like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
With like you know, like some of the great thinkers of our time. I think I would get wrecked if I did that, but I think it'd be fun just to see the brilliance of some of these commanders. You know, some of their ideas and tactics come to life. But I don't know, at the same time, I think it'd be really cool to play a game with Albert Einstein. But I'd want to talk to him more than I'd want to play.
Yeah, that's half of it, right?
Yeah, I'm just like, all right, so we're going to play Run Here Super Battle. So
that's why I was thinking about the cooperative games. Because, like, hey, if we're playing a cooperative game, we have to work together. Dude, this might sound cheesy, but I would totally play Mansions of Madness with Jesus.
With Jesus?
It's throughout history, man. Like,
I mean, yeah.
like.
But that's the game.
There you go, dude.
Real quick, Jesus, like this demonic figure just popped up.
Dude, we would destroy the crap out of it. It would be great. And when the app starts like bugging out and everything starts going our way, you know,
fix it.
You know the miracles have happened. You know, it's like, oh, we were gonna take 3 damage, but now we're taking 5. So, but is that against the rules?
He's somebody that I want to have a conversation with. Yeah, I don't know
Come on, Rob.
if I'd get much gaming in with him. I'd ask a lot of questions.
Hey, I thought it was funny.
Cool. I think it's funny, but I have cool questions to ask him. But yeah, I just want to talk to him.
Oh yeah, for sure. So Chris Hojo, I think that's what it is. Ever need a gaming comedian on your podcast? If so, I'm totally. So Chris is basically asking if he can be a gaming comedian. You need a gaming comedian, man?
I think my gaming comedy comes when I see people do silly stuff or funny stuff while we're playing the game. Not so much just like the jokes about meeples and squares and other stuff like that.
All of our jokes are based around silly things that happen to us in games half the time.
Yeah. But if you want to give it a shot, I'd listen to some of your material. Sure, why not?
Nice. Cool. Nixagram says, what non-gaming related thing or event or whatever are you looking forward to most at Dice Tower Con? So what non-gaming thing are you looking forward most to at Dice Tower Con?
What non-gaming thing?
This is easy for me. Just
right,
the
what's it for
people,
you?
just the people in general. Like literally just seeing the people. Even not even talking about games. Just hanging out with like our friends that we only see like once a year or twice a year if we're lucky. It's going to be really cool to just hang out with those people and like go to dinner or just walk around and talk or just do things that aren't necessarily gaming itself, but hanging out with people, and on top of hanging out with our friends, also seeing all the people who like the show and stuff like that, whether they like Epic Gaming Night or whether they like Favorite Game Friday, where they've seen Roy versus Rob or our reviews and things like that. It's just
We need
awesome.
to do one of those, man.
Yeah,
it's
man.
been a minute.
Dude, I would love to do a I mean, we could totally do a Crystal Clans one. That would be great.
Oh yeah, especially with the new ones. I want to get, what do you say, that Fang Clan and the Shadow Clan and stuff.
Yeah, man. I wonder like what the time frame of those is. I guess I'm sure they're gonna have that stuff at Gen Con. They gotta have
I could
something,
ask
right?
Isaac and just pretend that I'm you.
Yeah. Say, hey, it's
This
Roy
is Roy.
here. Nice.
I agree everything you said. Just what is the Sticky Chameleons game?
Dude, Sticky Chameleons is, I think it's from Yellow, but it is a game where you have like these sticky hand type tongue things.
Yeah.
Where there's different bugs out on the board, and you roll, I think you roll dice that shows you need like a specific bug out there, and everybody does the sticky hands thing to try to grab that bug from the middle of the table with the sticky hand, and whoever gets it stuck on their tongue gets like the point or whatever.
Okay.
And that's like the whole game. Roy versus Rob Sticky Chameleons, that would be super short and super awesome.
That'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, I love little games like that.
Yeah. I was just answering the game even though I didn't pay attention to what Darth had said yet. You're like, what's Sticky Chameleons? Oh, this is it. Cool. So Nat So Much One asks, how do you get non-gamers to the table?
Food, bribe them. Or you ask them to try something new. If you're trying, in my opinion, if you ask somebody to play a game, right, just to give it a try, and they're insistent that they don't want to play,
then don't
play it with them.
Yeah.
You're gonna ruin it for them. You're gonna have a bad experience because you're not gonna get what you're thinking you're gonna get out of it, even though you love it.
Sometimes if you have a group of people that are, some are like non-gamers, like even if all of them are non-gamers and some of them don't want to play, if they don't want to play, just say, oh, you don't have to play. But if you can talk some people into playing, then like, okay, cool, we'll play. And there's tons of like whole categories of like gateway games, and a lot of it depends on the person you're playing with. You can easily play like simple things like Love Letter or Code Names, and people get interested in that, and they're like, oh, what else is out there? I've never seen a game like this. This is kind of interesting. This is kind of fun.
Or those that didn't want to play after watching now want to play.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like you get a couple people playing, and they're like, oh, they're playing a game. Oh, they're having fun playing the game. Oh, cool. Well, maybe I'm not going to be as hard on this. I thought board games were this. Maybe they're not as bad as I thought they were because they're having fun with it. I want to be part of the fun too. So, it's keep it simple. Like, do not go in being like, my non-gamer friends won't play Twilight Imperium with me. I don't understand why. How do I get them to play Twilight Imperium? Don't start there. That's not where you start.
That's not where you start.
You start super simple, super light, super fun, and depending on who it is, if they are gamers, like they play video games and iPhone games and all sorts of console games, but they don't play board games, they might be able to jump in that stuff quicker. But I'd always start with like some of the more interesting, lighter games, you know?
Yep.
Cool. So Steve Stiz says, what games are best with your group of gamers? What games are best when your group of gamers just recently all had babies?
The same games you played before because you probably haven't been able to play them for several months.
Yeah. Recently had babies is not as bad because you can put them in the carrier and they kind of sleep for a little bit. Toddlers where it's at.
Yeah, it's I'd also do like not a dexterity game.
because if you are having to carry the baby, you don't want the baby to get in the way or something like that. It depends. Some kids are sleepy, tired kids that sleep all the time. Some kids want to touch everything.
Yeah.
But just
something
like
casual.
After my second was born, I went back to playing what we had because I miss playing it.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah, I think like just something that people aren't going to stress too much about turns or different things like that. Something that's not too heavy, just because it's easier to be like, okay, now I got to go change the diaper. Now we got to get the bottle fed. Now we got to do all this other stuff.
Well, even on that though, like sometimes those same people are like, this doesn't even matter. Like, life is so much different now that I've had a kid.
Yeah,
like. Who cares if I win or lose? I'm just happy to see other people. And this game, me winning or losing, is not going to affect my life. Like for me, it kind of helped me chill out a little bit with like competition wise, because like life is so much more beyond that. Especially now, having been humbled with 2 little kids, it's like, okay, I can get mad about this, or I can focus on other stuff that matters. And don't get me wrong, I'm still a competitive person, but. Yeah, ever since my daughters came around, like, it's not the end of the world if I lose a game. Like, so.
And don't play real-time games, because you have to stop, and you have to take care of the kid. So don't play. Yeah. Don't play. Escape the Curse of the Temple. Don't play the unlock games where it's like, oh, we're on a timer, and now this. I mean, you're gonna have interruptions. Like that's the name of the game. So.
Yes. There is a little person that needs your help,
and they should be a priority too. So, don't just set your kid in the corner and then be like, "Daddy's gonna go play games. You stay in the closet." No, bad. Anyway.
Yeah.
The Star Deck says, "What games that everyone else seems to like/love that you just don't care for?"
Ooh. What's like a popular game that we don't care for?
Let's just say the category of Euro games. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I'm starting to like some Euro games.
Get out. You're off the podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
No. I don't know. Give me a second to think about this one. What's a popular game that I don't care for? A lot of Zaya. That's for me personally. A lot of people I know love Zaya. If I never play it again, I'll be okay. If I play it again,
play it by myself without you.
But yeah, I just sorry. I don't care.
Secret Hitler's terrible.
Bro, Secret Hitler's not terrible.
I would almost rather play any other social deduction game. I'd rather play One Night Ultimate Werewolf. I'd rather play regular Werewolf. I'd rather play lots of them. I got so many social deduction games. That's the bottom of. I'd rather play the Resistance, and it kind of just rips off the Resistance and makes it worse. Boom! What? Come at me, bro. Don't at me. Nice. Yeah. Hector the Turtle says, "What is your most epic story of betrayal in a game?" Come on, Hector. Everybody knows what Rob's gonna say, and y'all just trying to make me look bad. I'm just kidding.
I mean, it's definitely something with you. Adam, real quick, I'm going to answer I'm going to answer the question real quick you put in chat. Roy doesn't suck at Secret Hitler.
I've never been the bad guys in Secret Hitler. I've always been the good guys.
A grown man yell at a stranger before, who was also a woman, at the top of their voice.
What does that matter? What does it matter,
bro?
Equal opportunity yelling.
Bro, you took that into full effect with that game. That completely changed. Like, once I saw that happen, I was like, Roy will do whatever. He doesn't even know this lady. He just met this woman. She's friends with Emerson Matsushi. Like, we were invited to tag along with them. Like, we're the guests to their group. And Roy's just going off. And he's not like degrading or anything, but he's like yelling about the game at this woman. Like, went from 0 to 1,000, and it was just like, it was very scary and yet impressive to watch. Like,
Rob exaggerates stuff. It wasn't that.
No, bad. Bro.
I was confused. I'm like, I know you're on our team. Why are you doing these things?
it was awkward. It was awkward.
Rob just likes the game because he is Hitler all the time in that game, and he just doesn't do anything and just wins. And that's how you win as Hitler. You just don't do anything and you win. And that's why I hate the game.
I just like the game because it always brings funny stories.
Yeah.
But games on Betrayal, there's so many with Roy.
I've got one. Okay, so we were playing Mansions of Madness, and we're all slowly going mad, and someone had this one card called the King James Bible, and we all
and he was using it himself,
and he betrayed us by not helping us. Yes, it was betrayal.
I was using it myself. You could only be used once per round, and I was using it myself, or we all would have gone insane at the same time. No, it was just
you could take an action. It couldn't only be used once per round. You could just take an action.
Once you used it as action, it was used for that round.
Don't make me get out my box of Mansions of Madness.
So I used it on myself to not go insane, and I still went insane after using it. That's how hard that round was. That's how hard that museum one was.
Yeah.
And so don't get mad about that, bro. That's not betrayal.
I'm just kidding.
No, betrayal is like
so
stuff.
Funny when we're like, "Hey, man, please read the Bible to us, Rob," and you're like, "No, this is for me and me alone."
That's right.
You're like, "I don't trust you." I'm like, "I don't have an insanity card. You have to trust me because I have no reason to be bad,
but
unless you let me go insane." I didn't.
Everybody did.
So much fun.
My one of my favorite betrayal moments is actually when I betrayed Roy. One of the first times, not the first time we played, but one of the first times we played, Roy and I played Resistance together.
Yeah.
With a group of people. And if you're ever like the bad guys in Resistance, you don't want to come out in the first round, right? Because in the first mission, there's only 2 people. And so it's kind of blackball those 2 people if you come out and fail that mission because no one's going to trust you. And Roy was kind of alpha gaming the group, and people were like listening to whatever he was saying. And so I just
honestly they didn't trust me at all because we played that game of Shadows over Camelot right before that. So
yeah, you did kind of screw us over on that. And so first mission playing Resistance, I failed it, and I convinced everybody that Roy did it, and Roy was getting so mad. Oh, Roy's face was like, "Bro, I'm not even doing it. I didn't do that. I didn't fail this. I can't even believe." And so, like, randomly throughout the game, he would just randomly clap, like, "Oh, they failed another mission. Woo, woo!" And it was so funny.
The thing that added insult to injury is after all of that, they ended up adding Rob to a mission later on in the same thing.
Yes. And that was the mission that I failed to win the game.
But it also shows how bad they are at
It was just great. And you were so pissed. Just still sitting there clapping like, "You guys know he did that. And I didn't fail the first mission." And I'm like, "Guys, he totally failed the first mission. You know he was lying, blah, blah, blah." And they took me anyway. And they didn't have to. There were other options outside of Roy and I. Like, they could have avoided us. Nice. Anyway, it was great.
Meeples and Me ask, what game have you introduced to your parents that was a surprise hit? This is hard for me because
Wits and Wagers.
Oh, awesome.
They're not big. My family's not big gamers. Roy's parents are big gamers, but mine are not. But my family's, whenever we get together, they always want to play Wits and Wagers now.
Nice. Yeah, for me it's hard because I grew up playing games with my dad, and my mom plays games with us too. So it's kind of like, it's hard to be like, "Oh, what games surprised you that you like?" Because every game I put on the table with them, I'm hoping that they like it. But they really enjoyed, like, recently we played Crystal Golem. They really enjoyed playing that, which was really cool. Because I wasn't quite sure. I was kind of surprised by how much my mom likes Above and Below. She really enjoyed that game, so. That's really cool, like the whole story aspect of it and being able to read through the book. And she's been talking about wanting to play Tales of the Arabian Nights again, which is actually also surprising.
That's a great game, though.
So I guess that's kind of interesting because my mom's like, "Oh, the stories in the story games, those are kind of cool, being able to do the choose your own adventure thing." So the fact that my mom is excited about those, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Meeples at Disney asked, How have you seen board games impact life outside of gaming, outside of the gaming world? Bank account? I'm just kidding.
Right? Outside of money, I would say it's impacted it because it brought people that weren't necessarily gamers or people that weren't necessarily play together, and it brought them together to play a game. And so it brought it back to the gaming world. But like I use games sometimes with like friends and people at church and other stuff also as icebreakers.
Yeah.
Because they're great for that. And so, yeah.
I think there's a lot of friends, like most all of my closest friends, we play games together. So the fact that like we have these games that we play together, it's not the only reason for being friends, but it's a fun thing that we can do together. So it just helps build those relationships that last outside of gaming as well.
Oh, yeah.
And just de-stressing, having something to have fun with. And having something to get away from the stress of your day job or the stress of all the crazy things going on in the world. It helps you be more calm when other crazy things are happening if you can play a game and just get stressed out that way, I think it's cool.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear that back talk?
No. So I think we're good.
Okay, sweet. Hey, however, though, you got me for about like 10 more minutes.
Cool. We'll just do a couple more here, and then I'll randomly select one of these people to have won a die. Cool. So Rimlor asks, in today's ever-evolving gaming scene, gamer appetites and a huge influx of new games and deluxifying games components are even more important now for publishers and gamers. Or is deluxifying game components even more important now for publishers and gamers? So with so many games out there and so many gamers with huge appetites and so many influx of games, is making a game really pretty, really like pimped out, really deluxified important for publishers?
Yes.
Yeah.
And here's why.
It's eye-catching, that's for sure.
And that's the main thing. With over 2,000 plus board games being produced every year, you've got to stand apart. If it wasn't about that and it just came down to rules and mechanics, there are definitely some games where the mechanics and the rules stand apart other than others.
The game doesn't even have to be that huge, but having really nice quality components.
Yeah, like for example, Century Spice Road.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think Plan B and their whole organization does a really good job with that. Because even though they're abstract games, you've got Azul with these big chunky tiles. You've got Century Spice Road with like
and
nice
Golem.
Bowls and Golem with the gems, and everything's like nicely presented in the box. And then Reef just came out, which is Emerson's new game, and I'm looking at pictures of it on the table. Like I've seen pictures of it before, but like the close up of how chunky those like reef like things that you build the reef with, I'm like, man, these games just have this factor of like the pieces are just fun to manipulate. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Like they could use cardboard tokens to do this, but it would not have the same appeal if it was just flat, boring pieces. The fact that there's 3D things you're stacking or chunky tiles you're using or blinged out things or these games with crazy miniatures, I think it brings people in. That's not saying that there's no room for other games if it's a good game, but if you have some game with chintzy cards and thin cards and like looks like you cut every corner you can, people are they're just not going to like the game as much. Even if the game is the exact same, if the game was beautiful and great components or the game has bad components and isn't that deluxified feel, when people think about the game, they're just not going to think about it as fondly.
Yep.
No,
I completely agree.
Nice.
Sweet.
Cool. Pick a number. Wait, I'm just going to randomly pick one of these other ones because I'm going to try to pick. I'm going to do this one because I thought it was really cool and they sent a picture. So Bryce Henry said, I'm doing a scratch-off 100 movie bucket list where I'm making board games that, or there, if there were one for board games, what would you like? So he's got this poster picture that is like this scratch off that has 100 different movies that you should watch before you die.
Oh man,
if there were,
I love that idea.
If there were 100 different board games you should play before you die, what are a few games you think should be on there? Like for everybody, be like if there was a poster where you could check off these 100 board games, what would be on there?
Real quick, before we go into the board game, movie-wise, my favorite romantic movie of all time, Meet Joe Black.
Nice.
You got to see Meet Joe Black.
I knew it was coming.
So good. Have I told you about that movie?
Yes.
I love it. So good.
I'm about to say, I'm sure you talked about it a bunch of times on the podcast, which is cool.
But board games,
I want to put War of the Ring on there for some reason, just because like it's epic war game.
Well, yeah,
Lord of the Rings,
and I think it's like worth the effort for at least once.
It's worth a play to be like a bucket list.
Well, just because it is such a big and amazing game.
Also, chat, let us know if there's any games you think should be on the 100 games bucket list. It would be cool to have that.
I'd also say Run Here Super Battle.
Yeah, something simple. That would be an easy one to check
Something
off.
Simple, something fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are a ton of games, but also these games that I would mention are games that are of my taste.
Right.
Like games that I like. I don't know if there's like the only game, this is going to sound maybe a little biased or weird, but the only game that I've played that after I got done playing the game, I was like, wow, this changes a lot for me, was Blood Rage. And that was because of the draft and the rounds and the minis. Like, I love Blood Rage, and I love Thief, and I love Game of Thrones, and I love all these other games. And Thief was a fantastic game, and so is Game of Thrones. But I remember doing the first draft with Blood Rage and it blowing my mind. Oh, yeah, and I was just like, this is absolutely amazing. And then we get our characters and these monsters and then go fight. It's not just build your army, it's then do this. Like, I absolutely loved it. And it's such a beautiful game. And it's such a simple... It's simple, but it's not simple. Right? Because it's simple. Pick some cards and do your stuff. But the strategy behind it just... I remember Blood Rage being like a game changer. After I got Blood Rage, that's when I fell in love with Kickstarter.
Cool. So I just did a random number generator. We had 35 different questions, and hopefully we'll get to some of these other ones on another podcast because we had so many great questions we couldn't get to. But we randomly...
Yeah, I apologize, guys.
We randomly got number 11, so... I'm trying to count down. Okay, Hector the Turtle is the winner. So I'll hit you up on the Instagrams and get your contact info, and you can choose Favorite Game Friday or Epic Gaming Night dice set that we can make happen. That would be awesome. Cool. Well, definitely.
No more questions?
We have tons of questions. You want to keep going? How much time you got, man?
One more. I've got time for like one more. I feel bad. We're actually heading back home tomorrow, so like this is the last night with family.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I was like, hey guys, listen, this podcast, they don't need me, but Matt's still working, and so I've got to get on.
Yeah. I just wanted to get on and talk to see what all these people were asking, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I love the show. I love all of our friends. I mean, I feel like these people are my friends. I feel like we're all hanging out, and I love chat with Adam and Darth and Mark and Ian and everybody like that. And some of the old school ones I haven't seen forever. And Pasquale, he's been big and stuff coming up. Like, I don't know. I just want to hang out.
I'm trying to find a question that would be fitting for ending.
If you're not finding one that's just popping out to you, we can go ahead.
No, there's a lot of questions. I'm just trying to figure out if you could. I already answered this. If you could combine any game with Mansions of Madness, what would it be?
Ooh. Combine any game with Mansions of Madness.
I said Marvel Legendary, basically, because I would love to have that with superheroes. That would be really cool. But man, I would. The mechanics of Mansions of Madness are so good. I would just almost love it in anything. Like if they're like, hey, very puzzly, very story driven, very cooperative game, go. Like I'm like, yes, please. Oh, and you can play it solo, and you can play it with a lot of people.
Mansions of Madness, I would probably also add Dead of Winter, where there's the idea that without going insane, somebody's working against you.
Dude, I would love to play.
And somebody's being selfish and not trying to help the group, even though, because they're both similar games where they're telling a story, but I just love the traitor mechanism of Dead of Winter and the paranoia that there could be one or there could not be one type of a thing.
Yeah, and I think I would really like the aspect, like even if it's like base building and trying to fight off zombies, like I would be down for a very, very story-driven game of that goes through step by step. Like, because you get these zombie ones like, oh, get the parts to the helicopter, or oh, go get supplies or whatever. But I want one where it's like, man, even if you're like, oh, you got to get equipment or whatever to try to fight some stuff off, and you find a lock cabinet, and now you got to do the little puzzle to get through the lock, and oh man, now we got to get this, and there could be a lot of twists in there of like trying to find the cure and figure out what's happening and stuff like that. Good times.
Yeah, I would love it.
Nice.
Boom.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for coming out. We stream these Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure to check us out at youtube.com/Epic Gaming Night. I want to say thank you so much to all of our patrons for helping us do the podcast. You definitely mean a lot to us. And I'm excited about getting to play some games at Gen Con with some patrons, getting excited about playing some games at Dice Tower Con with patrons, and just anybody who listens to the show. You guys are great. So it's going to be super exciting.
Love it. I'm excited for Dice Tower Con. I'm excited for next week. I think we're going to start announcing some stuff for Dice Tower Con.
Yeah, we're going to...
Next week.
We're not going to announce what all it is, but we're going to be doing we've talked about it on the show a bunch already, but we're going to be doing a scavenger hunt, but there's also going to be like board games as prizes for people who do the scavenger hunt. So it should be super awesome to see who's going to get out there and make the craziness that Rob's come up with happen.
Well, and we also might try to do like some meetups where like, hey, at this time we'll play some games. Everybody come together and meet up and stuff like that. So, and don't we have the RPG show this Sunday?
Yes. So.
Yeah, we got to make sure everybody's available.
It's next Sunday, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's next Sunday.
I don't.
You don't. Yeah, it's next Sunday. Hype! Because next Sunday is the
Sunday.
Next Sunday is the 30th.
No.
Oh,
that's a Saturday.
Oh, dang.
It's
cool.
this Sunday.
Hey, good to know. Good to know. Awesome, man. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Make sure to check that out as well. That's going to be super exciting. And we will see you guys on the next one.
Yes.
Peace.
Peace, everybody.